Go.
Okay, thank you all so much for coming. I'm really excited to be able to tell you about the Banica Commission. I've been blessed to work for the Mission Office for about a year and a half now. I was further blessed to go to the Banica Commission for 5 days last year, and I'm jonesing to get back. And everyone that's gone on a mission trip there comes back transformed. It's the most amazing experience they've ever had. 5, 6, 7 days, and they fall in love with the people, and it brings them spiritually closer to Christ. And so let's just get started. Banica is a land of contrasts. There's crippling poverty and ecstatic joy side by side. There are teenagers who haven't even finished grammar school that live just a few miles from a flourishing parochial school that just doesn't have the capacity to serve everyone in the area. It's a place where death of family members is a common occurrence. It's frequent. You'd be hard pressed to find someone who did not recently lose a loved one in the last year or so. And yet, it's really hard to find someone who's not smiling. There's this constant joy in the streets, and it comes from their faith. So here's a little video that gives you a taste of what Banica kind of feels like. All right, now you get the full dramatic effect.
I'll just send this back in.
Yay! Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much.
Good job.
There's tons of kids in Banica. And I'll put my name in there so that people wouldn't think that Shayna Seiler took the pictures I might have sucked. So. Okay, so Banica is located in the Dominican Republic, which is on the island of Hispaniola, directly between Cuba and Puerto Rico. It's the second largest island in the Caribbean, just under 950 miles from southeast of Florida. Here's a close-up. Banica is on the western edge of the Dominican Republic, right on the border with Haiti. And it's a good 5-hour drive from the capital, Santo Domingo. So you fly into Santo Domingo, and then someone from the mission picks you up in a bus, and you drive 5 hours to Banica. Not too long ago, a lot of that trip was over unpaved roads. When I was there last year, it was a paved road all the way. So that just kind of shows you that progress is being made.
Who operates the bus? It's just a local, or they own the bus?
They own the bus.
Oh, they own the bus?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You'll meet the driver of the bus in a few slides.
Okay.
Actually, the next slide. So the priest down there is 2 priests that are responsible for 10,000 souls in the what they call the Banica Mission. The Banica Mission actually comprises 3 towns: Banica, Pedro Santana, and Sabana Cruz, and then also the surrounding campos. The rural villages where people are extremely isolated and extremely poor. The pastor is this gentleman right here, embracing the local woman, Father Keith O'Hare. He's been the pastor of the Banica Mission since 2008, and they love him. They absolutely love him. I chose this picture. This picture I did not take. This was taken for the documentary trip. It's not hard to find a scene like that where someone is giving him a big warm hug, and he hugs them right back. He loves them and they love him. And then the other priest is Father Jason Weber. He is 33 years old, and he's a brand new priest. He was he was assigned to the cathedral, but wanted to go to Banica. He felt a calling to go to Banica. So he learned Spanish and got the bishop to send him down there.
Wow.
This is the church, this upper right, this is the church in Banica. It's called San Francisco de Asís, St. Francis of Assisi Church. It's actually very old. I believe this building was built in the 1700s, in Spanish colonial times. And then this picture here, this is the rectory. It's a slightly newer building, 20th century. And that's where the priests live, and that's also where I stayed when I went on my visit. So that's not where I'm going to stay in Puyalto. This is Tom Brock, the man who picks you up at the airport. I gave him his own slide because he's really cool. He is a volunteer. He signed up to volunteer to help the mission, and that was about 4 or 5 years ago. He was supposed to go for 6 months, and he just never left.
Wow.
Is he an employee now? Did I say?
No.
Volunteer.
He was a volunteer. Father au pair was giving him a stipend. Thing is, nobody knew, the diocese did not know that he never went home. And apparently Father Posey assumed that he was working for the diocese, or that his volunteer thing had been extended. It hadn't been, but Father O'Hare had been giving him a stipend. So this all came to light about 6 months ago when Father O'Hare emails us and asks for this, the budget for the new fiscal year, and he says, I want to give Tom a raise. And it's like, you're paying him? We thought he was just volunteering. No, he's been paying him as though he were an employee. So the diocese, the Office of Risk Management, just freaked out. Because here's this guy who's down there with at an Arlington Diocese mission, not on the books at all.
Not covered by their insurance.
Not covered by their insurance. Praise God, nothing's ever happened to him, but he had to fill out all this paperwork attesting to the fact that he is there of his own free will. He is a volunteer at the mission, and the diocese is not responsible for him.
Sounds like they need someone like that.
They do. But he's perfectly happy to just be there,
He married a Dominican?
He did.
Yeah.
He recently got married. Just in the last couple months, he got married. That's right here. This is the house he was living in, which is actually on the parish center grounds, which I'll show you a little bit more of later. I think he bought another house for he and his wife to live in, but he's for all intents and purposes, he's a Dominican now. And so the Banica mission started in 1991 when the Arlington Diocese entered into an agreement with the Diocese of San Juan de la Maguana to establish a mission there. And what happened was there were these 4 priests in the Arlington Diocese who decided they wanted to start a mission. And so they went to Bishop Keating at the time and said, we want to start a mission. The Arlington Diocese should have a mission somewhere. And so they started looking for one. They started looking for a place where that would be a good fit. And I don't know what the search criteria or how long it took them, but Bishop Keating really liked the town of Banica. And Bishop Grullon, who's the bishop of San Juan de la Maguana, really wanted us to come. And so they made a deal. And so the Arlington Diocese provides priests, volunteers, and material support to the Banica parish and the surrounding communities. Before that, they hadn't seen a priest in over 20 years, since the early 70s. The last priest to actually be assigned to that area was driven out of town. Corrupt government is a big, big problem. It's only gotten slightly better now in the last couple of years. So there was no established church. The church building you see in the top photo there was just empty. There was, every now and then, there would be some priests, Dominican priests, not Dominican the order, but Dominican nationals, priests who would come, they'd make the rounds through all the campos, but that would take, may come every few months, and they couldn't get to everybody. And there were some campos they never got to, and a lot of people didn't even know that a priest had ever come. So an entire generation, we're talking over 20 years, an entire generation was born, grew up, started families without receiving a single sacrament, without 1 hour of catechism. So they knew they were Catholic and they were Christian, but it almost declined into folklore and legend. They really didn't know their faith. And they weren't, like I said, they were not getting the sacraments. So now the mission, which we just refer to as the Banica mission, serves the small towns of Banica, Pedro Santana, and Sabana Cruz, and over 60 rural communities known as the Campos. And those people are, Banica and Pedro Santana, they look and feel like towns. Very, very, very poor towns. Like the best section of town would be the worst section of DC, is what it looks like. Not that it's not that dangerous. It's not as dangerous as DC, but it looks run down. Everything's old. You got people walking around without shoes on. You got kids riding motorcycles with t-shirts, shorts, and no shoes. Motorcycles are the preferred mode of transportation because they're cheap, they're fast, and you can take them up into the hills. You see lots of motorcycles there. It's crazy. Nobody wears a helmet or any protective clothing whatsoever. But there's over 10,000 people in the Banica mission that the two priests are responsible for. Biggest problems: malnutrition, lack of access to education, which the parochial school has done wonders to address. Basic medical care, there is but one. The closest hospital is in the city of San Juan, which is about an hour away. There is a medical center, or what they call a hospital in Banica. Is really more like a medical office, and it can only treat like the most basic maladies. If you have a cold, or you have a stomach ache, or a headache or something. If you have something serious, you have to be driven to the hospital in San Juan. And the mission actually bought and maintains an ambulance. They bought a minivan, turned it into an ambulance, and they use it not just for emergencies, but to take the elderly to doctor's appointments in San Juan. They use it to transport people for just basic care. But if somebody needs an ambulance, they know they can call the mission in the middle of the night, and someone will go and pick them up and get them to a doctor. And that's maintained entirely by donors. It's a donor-supported program. These are kids. The kids in this, these are kids from in Sabana Cruz. At least the ones on the left here, and then the top right. I was just taking pictures. I took a picture of these two kids who kind of weren't so sure they wanted me to, but their parents said it was okay, so I did. But this is what you walk around and you see kids like this just in the street, just running around playing. These two are a little older. They are actually parishioners at the chapel in Sabana Cruz. I want to talk about this guy, and you can't see his face too well on this TV, but he's 15 years old. He's about 5 feet tall, and he's in the 5th grade. The height is due to malnutrition. People are very small there, and they don't look their age. They look like they're about 5 years younger than they actually are because they're not developing. And education, they go to school when they can. Sometimes they have to take years off because their family can't afford to send them, or they have to work the family's farm, which is barely keeping them alive, or the school just isn't open. Sometimes if they don't have teachers, there's just no school. And the parochial school, the mission school, is wonderful, but they only have so much space. There's a waiting list to get in. And right now they have about 250 to 300 kids. So a 15-year-old in 5th grade is not uncommon. Because he didn't seem to have any embarrassment about it, and it was just like, so, I said, how old are you? 15, and what grade are you in? 5th. Like, he just answered the question, Here's a little boy. How old do you think he is?
8.
14.
12.
He's 11.
Oh.
But I too,
Oh.
that Christy made a good educated guess. But yeah, I thought he was 8 when I met him. I hate myself, but I don't remember his name. He lived in the Campos. He's one of the 25% of the people who do not have any type of bathroom facility. Most houses in the Campos, it's just a one-room house. Kitchen, living room, bedroom, and a family of 5 in one place with all their possessions. And you gotta go to the bathroom, they go in the bushes. And that's just normal life. Here's another family in the same campo. Again, you see the girl on the far left and the girl in the pink shirt. They're actually about 4 years age difference. The girl on the far left, I think, is 11 or 12, and the girl in the pink shirt is 15, but they look about the same age. Again, because of malnutrition. The building that you see behind Father O'Hare's head, you see that kind of building right there? It's surrounded by barbed wire. That is the school for the couple. And it's surrounded by barbed wire because it's closed. And it's closed because the last teacher called in sick and never came back.
Oh my.
No teachers, no school. The government doesn't try to staff it. They don't invest in education.
Is it just in the rural areas, or is it the whole, I mean, is it better in the larger?
It's better in the larger areas. But
Yeah.
basically, they don't have, the United States is extremely spoiled when it comes to education. I mean, we complain about school funding all the time, but every community has a school. And if you don't go to school, the authorities come knocking on your door and say, what's up? Education is not a right in the Dominican Republic. It's, you can have, we'll give it to you if we can, or if you can afford it, you can go, but if there's no school, there's no school, you know, sorry. So and these are girls that wanted, they were very disappointed that they, you know, they hadn't been to school in weeks because there's just no one to teach them. And they, like I said, they don't, the parochial school is full and they don't live close to it anyway. This is like an hour out of Banica. Now their faith, that is where the joy comes from. And that is the one place where you see all of this misery, all of this sadness, and you wonder why these people, why don't they all just hold hands and walk into the river and drown themselves? And it's because they are happy nonetheless. They know they have a personal relationship with Christ. They have a strong community in their church. The phrase, si Dios quiere, God wills it, that is said a lot, and people actually mean it. And you go to Mass in any of the Banica parishes, first of all, the Masses are all packed. Everybody goes. They enthusiastically take part. I don't know if you can see, this is the Mission Chapel in Sabana Cruz. The pews right here, those are just metal benches, painted metal benches, no cushioning, no nothing. The floor is cement, and there are no kneelers. None of the parishes, none of the churches I went to had kneelers, and the floors are either cement or terracotta. And it's real hot there, so people don't wear long pants. So I saw children, old women, young people, at the proper times, they knelt on the hard ground on their bare knees. So after that, I'm never going to complain about a thin kneeler cushion again, because they can handle that and I can handle anything. Another really positive story, how 23 years ago, nobody knew anything about their faith. They had hardly ever seen a priest. Now, we're going to meet they already had one vocation to the priesthood from one of the campos. One of the poorest of the poor became a priest. They also have a permanent deacon in Banica. They have major and minor seminarians. And I didn't go to a mass that had less than 5 altar boys. The church has pretty much, it sounds silly to say, spiritually and emotionally saved them. It's why they exist.
Is the Diocese of Arlington sponsored seminarians through this mission?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, they actually, I think this is Deacon Roberto Alcantara. He was the permanent deacon I met at the Banica Parish. He was ordained as the permanent diacon in 2003. So 12 years after the founding of the mission, they have a permanent deacon. And he is someone, I believe, Father Posey, my boss, he was the pastor there from 1995 to 2003. I believe he's the one that kind of identified him as having potential and groomed him and helped him get his formation.
In this environment, deacons probably help a lot. They have such a limited amount
Yeah.
of priests.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Father O'Hare
Yeah.
depends on him greatly because he can do, he can do baptisms. That's one of the biggest things. When the first priest to go down there was Father Jerry Creedon, who was right now he's pastor at Holy Family Parish in Dale City. But the first thing he had to do was he had to baptize everybody, which is most of the population. We're talking like 50, 60, 100 baptisms a day. And not just the babies either, children, adults. Father O'Hare tells a story of when he had been down there about a year, and people got used to knowing, oh, there's a new priest, they would go and ask for money. And they always approach him after Mass and ask, I need help with this, or I need help with that. And one time this little old man came up, asked to speak with him, and he says, okay, well, he knew it was like, oh, he's going to ask me for money. I'll listen to what he has to say, but I don't know if I can give him any. He was old, he was like 70, 80 years old. He wanted to receive communion. That's all he wanted. So Father signed him up for, communion classes. Got him, prepped. He received his first communion. A couple weeks later, again, he comes to Mass, asks if he can speak to the Father after Mass. And the Father says, okay, now he's going to ask me for money.
Confirmation.
No, I think he got confirmed with the communion. No, he came to bring him vegetables from his garden as a gift for the sacrament. Not long after that, the man died.
Huh?
He died. And
How long after?
Just a few months. Not very long after receiving his first communion.
Did you say just in time?
Just in time. And Father Bear went to his house, and the man was living in, a shack with a dirt floor. He just grew enough food to feed himself, and all he wanted when he died was sacraments.
He died.
And he got them. That's the Holy Spirit working through the mission. So this is Father Pedro Mateo. He's the first vocation to the priesthood. He is from one of the poor campos, one of the places that, you don't get to go to school or anything, but he was, when Father Posey went down in 95, first thing he did, and when he went down, this was 4 years after the mission was founded, and I think he was the third or fourth priest to go down there. They had trouble keeping him down there for some reason. He was there for 8 years. But less than 10% of the population was even literate. And he didn't speak well. His Spanish was not very good either. So, but he was able to kind of identify the kids that were the brighter ones, and he would teach them to read. And he said, no, in return for learning to read, you need to teach the younger kids and catechize them. So the kids that he was teaching to read became also not only the first reading teachers, but the first catechists. So they were bringing them education and the faith at the same time. And he is one of the fruits of that labor. He was ordained in the priesthood in 2007. Now there's that little boy again, the 11-year-old boy who looks 8. I just want to show you this because this is, you see him, that's his house. That's where he lives. And he's showing me his slingshot, which is like his favorite toy. He uses it to hunt birds. I didn't ask if those birds were what his family ate, but they could very well have been. And the reason I paired it with the picture right next to it here, this is not his house. This is the house next door to his house, where another mission group has built a home for the family that lives there. Hopefully they'll build one for his family as well. But the revolutionary addition is the outhouse. That's something that most people don't have in the campus. Like I said, they use the bushes. And what makes this outhouse truly revolutionary is, I don't know if you can see it on the right-hand side here, this little ledge, that's a sink. People can finally wash their hands and stop the spread of disease, because hygiene there is the biggest problem. Father O'Hare carries with him hand sanitizer, because he said if you shake hands with a child, you don't know what that child's been touching, and so he's just constantly sanitizing his hands, because they don't have a whole lot of opportunity for hygiene, and so that outhouse, even though that's not from the Arlington mission, another mission group has done it, and I'm sure it's already probably saved at least a couple of lives that we don't even know about. Now the school, the biggest success story. It's called Colegio Parroquial San Francisco Javier, St. Francis Xavier Parochial School. It was founded in 2004. Serves approximately 250 to 300 students from pre-K through 8th grade. It has a library, and the most recent addition 2 years ago, a very, very generous, wealthy donor from the Arlington Diocese who wants to remain anonymous donated $30,000 to build a computer lab.
You can tell us who it is now. So.
Huh?
You can tell us who it is.
And I got to see their computer lab. It's the latest equipment, running the latest version of Windows. Kids are learning the latest version of Office. This young lady right here at the computer, her name is Marisol. She's one of the brighter ones. One of the kids that is really showing the aptitude. I asked her what she wants to do when she grows up. She said she wants to go into tourism. I said, well, you're living in the right country for that.
Probably a good career.
Oh yeah, that's pretty much the economy of Santo Domingo is tourism.
Yeah.
So I love that she knows where the money is and she's going for it.
She's learning English too. She's,
Oh yeah.
I feel a lot of all the resorts take place speaking.
Mm-hmm. And her English is rudimentary when I was there. It's probably really good by now.
Do they teach them languages? at this
They
school?
try. They do teach them English. It's hard because it's hard to find teachers who speak English or teachers who can teach it. The priests obviously they can speak English, but they don't have time to teach class.
Yeah.
So English instruction is kind of slow and goes by fits and starts.
Mm.
But the kids there wear uniforms. They wear nice clean uniforms. This is a kindergarten class. This is a 4th grade class. Marisol is in 7th grade, so she's probably in high school. She's graduated by now from the parochial school. There's another shot of the computer lab. It's the only building on the entire area that's air conditioned. Interesting statistic, 1991, fewer than 10% of the local population can read or write. And today, the kids from the parochial school rank higher on national test scores than any other school in the district. And there is a public school in the town of Banica, which is fairly well funded and fairly normal, but the parish school is better. And it's just, I think, just a real gift to the people that can get in there to go. The other success story is the Jóvenes Misioneros, the young missionaries. These are scholarship students that the Arlington Diocese, through donors, is paying to go to college in the Dominican Republic. So these are kids that were spotted in elementary school and groomed and encouraged, and they actually went through, graduated high school and got accepted into college, and we're now paying for their education. The unfortunate thing is that college doesn't go a whole lot faster than grammar school. It's really hard to get the classes you need. To graduate, it can take anywhere from 6 to 8 years to graduate from college, just because the classes, for the credits you need, are not always available every semester. Right here on the right is a young lady named Pookie. She is going to be graduating soon. She's studying to be a teacher. Most of the students in the program are either studying to be teachers, which Banica is in great need of, or accountants, which anybody can use, and it's a great basis for a career. The ones who become accountants usually move to Santo Domingo. But then there's one young man, his name is Danilo. Father O'Hare had his own scholarship program that Danilo graduated from, became an accountant, works for some big highfalutin firm in Santo Domingo. But he will still go back to Banica and pro bono will do accounting work for the mission. He was doing it pro bono until Father Posey insisted on paying him $250 a month. Just to, That's really good, yeah. But he was happy to do it for free. There's another gentleman, his name is Johanser. He's actually living in Falls Church now. He graduated from medical school. He was one of Father Posey's scholarship students.
In the DR?
In the DR. He graduated from medical school in the DR. He's here now doing his boards to get certified in the U.S. But he lives at St. James. Yeah, they have a... Huh?
Just a guy. He's not saying to become a priest, right?
He's not saying to become a priest.
What's his name?
I don't know his last name. His name is Johanser. His first name is Johanser. But he lives, St. James hosts a lot of students. They host a lot of visiting priests who are getting their, degrees at Catholic University. So they have a little house for them, which they call the House of Studies, and Johanser lives there. Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But Father Posey to him, education is very close to his heart. He thinks that is the most important thing, other than the most important thing of this world that you need and that is your only way out of poverty, is through education. All right, now mission groups. Mission groups of all ages come to Banica for short-term service trips of 7 to 10 days. They have youth groups from Bishop O'Connell High School, Paul VI, John Paul the Great, youth groups from St. John the Beloved, and All Saints have been to Banica. I think this group here in the truck is from St. John the Beloved. Young adults from St. Charles Borromeo, St. Veronica's, and Queen of Apostles have also gone down. And then college groups, we're really big with the Catholic colleges. Christendom and Marymount have sent groups down. But then the Catholic campus ministries of schools like Mary Washington, George Mason, and even as far away as Tulane University have gotten wind of Banica and have sent groups down. And it's wonderful because it brings in money for the mission, and they always accomplish a project. Mission groups work on all kinds of projects. They might dig a latrine, they might build a house, they might work with children, they might plant a garden. It's whatever needs to be done. When a group wants to go down, they make a reservation with Father O'Hare. They say, we want to come down the week of July 18th. And he'll say, how many? 15 people. So he will find a project that can be done in 5 to 7 days by 15 people. He'll figure out what that costs, and then that will be what the missionaries have to raise to go. And like I said, people have built houses for people. It doesn't take long to build a house in Banica. Their needs are very simple. A room like this is a luxurious house down there. And they will build that in a matter of days. Accommodations for the mission groups. This is the parish center. The upper right-hand picture is the parish center office. It's actually, I would say it's like maybe a half mile from the actual church. So it's down the road a bit. But that's the office, and what looks like a garage is like a workshop. The bottom right picture is the dormitory. It has 2 sections for men and for women. The bottom right-hand photo is, you can't really see it too well, but it's the best picture I had of a dormitory bunk. All the beds have mosquito nets. The walls, the dormitory has walls, but they're not sealed. There's holes everywhere. So if you have a problem with creepy, crawly things, you kind of learn to deal with it. And while no one's ever contracted any kind of mosquito-borne disease, the mosquito nets are still common practice.
Is there, by the way, any issues in this part of, is there any issues in this part of the Dominican Republic, like shots you'll need to go there or anything, like a travel doctor?
The CDC has recommendations for traveling to Latin America, and we encourage all mission groups to go to the CDC website and get the vaccinations that are recommended. Not everybody does.
Malaria is not an issue there.
Malaria is not a big issue.
What?
Hep B.
Hep B is a possibility.
But you can get, you can't, when you're old, you can't get Hep B vaccines.
Yeah, you can.
You can? No, we have to be under.
But anyway, some groups do it, some don't. But in the past 5 years, or at least, as long as we've been sending groups down there, no one's ever gotten sick. So, knock on wood, but trust in God, protect your horse.
That's not an area where people usually contract serious.
Right.
Serious things. Some areas of the world you'd be a little more like
right.
for heads.
Well, if you drink the water, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah.
If you go bathing in the river, like a lot of the locals do, you're asking for trouble. So if you just continually sanitize your hands, don't drink the water.
They warn people. Like,
they warn people. Yes.
Drink the water. Don't.
Yeah. Don't handle any animals that might look cute. Chickens, dogs, donkeys, don't touch them. You should be fine.
Is there, just out of kind of curiosity, is there is there ever any concern with safety? I know there's a health issue, but also safety of just people there, any kind of crime or anything
it's
like that?
It's a very, very safe place.
Yeah.
You have to use common sense. You don't want to go walking around at night, by yourself. But no one's ever been a victim of any kind of crime or attack or assault or anything.
Is there police stations in the city?
There are.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a police presence, and it's I think it's a national police So we got these guys with, you know, machine guns walking around.
So there's people you could call if there was like
Yeah.
some, yeah.
Yeah, they have authority, yeah, they are
Yeah.
authorities there.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's never been a problem, just, people just exercise common sense. At night, stay on the parish grounds. It used to be a lot worse. When Father Posey was down there, he got into a tiff with the public school principal. The public school principal was having his way with some of the girls. And he called the authorities and had him fired. Well, the school principal was a personal friend of the local organized crime kingpin. And
Mafia was involved.
yeah. And Father Posey got some threatening phone calls. They threatened his life. Nothing ever happened. But he said that the first time it happened, this was a place there was no electricity. He had a phone, but you know, no lights or anything. No paved roads out of town. He said someone could kill him, and the diocese wouldn't find out for months or weeks.
Be a diplomatic incident, kind of. That
Yeah.
would take a while for it to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But things have really gotten better.
Mhm.
How long ago was that?
That was like, oh gosh, that was 19 years ago.
Oh,
So things have gotten a lot better. Things have gotten a lot better.
Yeah, if, think, like, if somebody, I'm just thinking the issues people might think of, kind of like if somebody did get sick, is there some plan to get them to,
Well-
I mean, you know,
There's well, like I said, the mission has an ambulance.
Yeah.
And there's a hospital an hour away.
yeah.
So you are taking the same risk that everybody who lives there is. But, I mean, the Father O'Hare, Father Weber will not hesitate to get you the help you need.
And you could probably get to an airport going back to the States relatively fast. If you need
5
to.
hours.
5 hours,
Yeah.
from that.
Yeah, oh yeah, I mean.
There's actually a lot of flights in and out of the, yeah.
Mhm. Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not the isolated, sort of middle of nowhere that it used to be,
Mhm.
back when it was first founded. It is, like I said, there is some danger just with any kind of foreign travel,
Mhm.
or in a place where the closest hospital is an hour away. But right here in Washington D.C. a few months ago, somebody had a heart attack across the street from a fire station, and nobody came to help him.
No, I know it for the story. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's like, and we've never had an incident.
It sounds like they chose this location, they thought it would work.
Yes, exactly.
Like, they wouldn't have chose some area in Mexico that has very high violence.
No.
Yeah.
No, they chose it very carefully, and
Yeah.
it was not a high crime area. Yes, there is organized crime element. I was driving with Father O'Hare one time at night between villages, and off in the distance I saw this huge house. It was a mansion. It's like mansion, and I'm like, I said, who lives there? And I figured he must know because he knows everybody, like in a 20-mile radius. And he's like, I don't know, either a drug dealer or a politician. It's like it can only be one of those two. But he does pretty much, whoever lived in that house was not someone who was going to, get in touch with people.
Do they have groups coming in? Is there always volunteer groups coming in most of the year?
Between February and July.
There
That's like,
always,
yeah, there's a lot. There's more in the summer. That's when Father O'Hare kind of allows it because they have to, there's a lot of administrative work, the start of the school year in the fall, there's a lot to do. So those are the months when he has the most time to accompany visiting
Mhm.
groups. So no one goes to Banica without being transformed. Banica has a spiritual experience full of love, hope, sadness, joy, and at the same time, fun. I'm hoping I have sound on this.
Fun. I didn't think it would actually say fun, but.
So these
This
are,
finest?
huh?
This is finest. Okay, never mind.
It's the Latin American song that sounded good on the video template I was uploading pictures to. Oh, get in front of the camera, guys. Are you in the camera? That's San Francisco East Parish. That's the cemetery. That's the church's type of stuff. The kindergarten class, everybody had to have their own presentation. That's one of the Coleman's misioneros, that's Marisol again. And another Coleman misionera. And thank you very much.
Very good.